Let's turn to the international papers now, and Florence is with us here in the studio once again. Angela Merkel, Nicolas Sarkozy, it's the big topic, isn't it, in many of the papers, the eurozone summit.
That's right, it's on the cover of the International Herald Tribune. There you see him, Sarkozy and Merkel. Two leaders offer modest changes for the eurozone. The summit was also on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. Europe takes steps to ease the crisis, and you see a great photo there of Angela Merkel and Sarkozy. Wonder what Angela Merkel is looking for, maybe divine intervention. Yeah. Anyway, there was a mixed reaction to the summit here, as we saw in the French press review, and a lot of papers said that it was just talk and not very much came out of it. Now, that feeling is shared by the online version of Der Spiegel. We're going to take a look at that right now. It says the crisis meeting between Merkel and Sarkozy was big talk and little action. The article points out that the key issues of Eurobonds and the increase in emergency funds were off limits, and so Merkel and Sarkozy were limited to recommendations, and those recommendations will hardly calm the markets, according to this article. It says that nothing came out of this meeting. There wasn't the big bang everybody was hoping for. It was basically just a bunch of rhetoric that we've heard before.
Okay, now, another story which is rearing its head again is the phone hacking story in the UK. A new revelation.
The saga continues. Now, this is a scoop in The Guardian, which says that an explosive letter lifts lid on 4-year hacking cover-up. Now, British MPs released a letter by Clive Goodman, the former News of the World royal editor who was jailed for phone hacking. Now, the letter was written 4 years ago, and it's an explosive letter that alleges that senior News of the World figures knew what was going on. Now, in this letter, Goodman claims that phone hacking was widely discussed at editorial meetings, and it's also alleged that Goodman was paid £250,000 to keep quiet. Now, this story is also on the cover of The Independent. Phone hacking, the smoking gun, and there you see Goodman's letter. Now, it's this story is acutely troubling for all the main actors in the scandal: Rupert Murdoch, James Murdoch, as well as the former editors Andy Coulson and Rebecca Brooks, who are now facing allegations of dishonesty. And The Independent has an interesting article that looks at what they said and the questions they now face. Now, this issue is also embarrassing for Prime Minister David Cameron, who hired Coulson as his media advisor on the basis that he knew nothing about the scandal. Now, this letter will be tested before a court of law, but it's definitely a juicy development in the scandal.
Rumbles on and on, doesn't it? Now, you're going to go to India. The arrest of the anti-corruption activist is causing quite a stir in the papers.
That's right. We're going to look at an article in the Wall Street Journal Asia. So his name is Anna Hazare. He's 74, and people are calling him an anti-corruption crusader. Now, he was jailed on Tuesday after police earlier prevented him from going on a public hunger strike. Now, he wanted to fast against a proposed new anti-corruption law that he thinks doesn't go far enough. Now, he spent the night in jail in Delhi, despite the fact that the government decided to let him go free, because he doesn't want to be freed until he's allowed to carry on his fast. He's got this huge wave of support in India. Hundreds of supporters held an overnight vigil outside of his prison. And we're going to take a look at an article in The Hindu, in fact, the editorial, which has a scathing editorial against the government of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's. It says that basically this arrest shows the ugly and repressive face of the government, and it says that the government is covering up these allegations of corruption instead of facing them. And according to The Hindu, they're on Team Anna, but they say that though he's given a face to this anti-corruption movement, it's on a roll across the country.
Now, a story that our Washington correspondent Philip Crowther has been following is US President Barack Obama on his battle bus around the country, and The Independent's taking a bit of a look at US campaigning, isn't it?
U.S. campaign history, in fact. There's a really fun piece in The Independent that has a bunch of photos of all sorts of different candidates on the campaign trail in the U.S. Now, there's a picture of Harry Truman during the 1948 campaign, Ronald Reagan on his 1980 campaign. His bus broke down and staff had to raise $500 to fix it. There's, of course, Bill Clinton. John McCain was very famous for his Straight Talk Express. Now, they all have these great names. Wonder what Obama will come up with. One thing is for sure, though. His bus might be the blingest of them all. At $1.1 million, it has incredible security features. It can withstand a rocket-propelled grenade, which you would hope for the U.S. president.
Excellent. All right, Florence, thank you very much. Battle buses we have known. Thanks very much, Florence, with the international papers.